It's Leela. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
All right, Leela in Logan, Utah. I did it. Yes. All right, so what's going on? How's it going in your world?
There's a lot up in the air, but we're excited about the future, and I'm really excited to talk to you about
it. Awesome. I'm excited to talk to you. So what's going on?
Okay, so I have 2 kids. I have a 2.5-year-old, and I have a 6-month-old.
Woo, you are in it, right?
Yeah. Just wait. So much in it. So,
great.
About 4 months ago, my 2.5-year-old, who had been weaned for a full year, decided that she needed to breastfeed again like her little brother.
Oh, she's back. All right.
Yeah. So we've been doing that for 4 months. At first I thought she was curious, so I was like, we'll go with it. She'll get over this really fast. She weaned so easily. She was all into real food. This isn't going to be a thing. So now it's like she's asking for milk more than he does. And I am dehydrated and just kind of emotionally exhausted.
Yes.
And I cuddle with her and I want to spend time with her, but I don't want it to always be involving milk. And I don't know how to transition and keep him being breastfed.
Yes.
Breastfed.
So tandem breastfeeding, right? I've heard about this. I've read about this. You're the first person I'm actually talking through this with. And so your 2.5-year-old, I guess at the time she was a little over 2, she came back, and was it something you were excited to do? Did you feel guilty about it? Was it just a weird? Tell me about that process. Okay.
I had never. So, I don't think breastfeeding itself is weird at all.
Sure.
So I've been good with that. I love the cuddles with my kids. So that wasn't an issue. But then she was just so curious, and I try not to say no to her unless I have a really good reason to say no. I let her be curious about stuff.
Right.
So I was like, okay, we'll see where this goes. And I just thought this is going to be a one-time thing, and then she's going to be over it.
No way, dude.
It wasn't.
Yeah, no way. Man, she gets that direct line connection. She gets to be between you and this other new lunatic that you brought into the home, right? She gets to weasel right between those two. Weasel's not a nice way to say that, but so let's take the 2 kids off for a second. You mentioned the physical part of this, but you said it. I don't like to say no. So you're in the middle of emotional, spiritual, psychological world, and I don't mean spiritual in the whatever the Jesus-y, churchy sense. I mean spiritual, this is existential for you. So there is a part of you, tell me if I'm wrong, that when you are nursing both of your kids at once, that's magical. And then there's a part of you that this is literally wearing you out from the inside out. Is that fair?
Both of those are 100% true.
Okay. So what do you want to do? Or both, probably, right?
Yeah. So I think the deepest part of me just wants my daughter to know how much I love her.
Right.
And since this is the way she wants to hear it, I don't know how to change to something else, because if I say no, she just is a wreck. And she just cries and she's so sad. And she doesn't get that about everything else. And she wants milk when she's gone through something that's scary or hurts her,
right,
or she's just having a hard day. And I just I want to protect her.
There
and she's not cuddly. So if I try to cuddle her, she wiggles out and she leaves.
So
I'm getting something out of this relationship that is important for me too. But I'm waking up every morning feeling like I'm getting headaches, and I have chronic pain that's worsened by being dehydrated, and I feel like no matter how much water I drink, it's not enough.
Right.
So I kind of need to find another option.
I want to preface this with the last thing on planet Earth the world needs is a 40-year-old male talking to a woman about telling her what she needs to be doing with breastfeeding, right? The last thing the world needs is another dude sticking his head into some of these conversations, all right? So I want to go ahead and tell everyone there is few things on earth with more opinions than breastfeeding, right? There are all kinds of tribes around all different kinds of things. I get that. If you are into tandem breastfeeding for you and for your kids, and I know what the World Health Organization says about 2 years, I know all that stuff, okay? So I'm talking to just lovely Leela in Utah, and so don't send me mean cards and letters, everyone in the podcast world. So if that's something you want to continue, that's something you want to continue. That's between you and your kids. I think you know exactly where the challenge is here, and it is not with your 2-year-old. It's with you. And it's that initial panic meltdown. Your daughter, is it daughter, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Your daughter is feeling like she no longer owns you, and this is a great way to control you. And she is just leaning up against these boundaries. And one of the greatest things you could teach her is that mommy has body boundaries, and that everyone from dad to her to new baby respects mommy's body boundaries. And anytime somebody puts up new boundaries, particularly for young kids, but even when wives put them up for their husbands and husbands put them up for their wives, boundaries are hard for us, especially at first. And your 2-year-old daughter, 2.5-year-old daughter is going to crash up against those boundaries and try to kick them over because she just wants to see if they're going to hold and if they're firm. At the end of the day, the bigger challenge is not with her, but it's with you. And so I want you to feel 1,000% affirmed that you are more than welcome to the autonomy of your body. And you are more than welcome. You're not going to ruin your kid. In fact, you're going to empower your kid. Because right now, she's not having to do the work to learn the psychological and emotional and spiritual responses to discontent, to fear, to frustration. She's just literally able to run to mom, right? Right to mom's bosom, literally. And so what's going to be critical for you, and this is exhausting season, and I get that, man, you have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. There's no way around it. Is finding intentional time, not cuddle time, but eye contact time, reading time, special mommy and daughter time with your 2.5-year-old. Another thing that can be key is giving your 2.5-year-old jobs, participation, leadership roles, especially a young daughter who's becoming a young woman. You're training, you're raising a young woman. And so here are some roles, some leadership opportunities she can take. But the reality is, it's just going to be hard for a little while. A great professor of mine, her name was Aretha Marbley. She's one of the most important mentors I've ever had. She said one of the keys to helping that first kid when you have a second kid is to start referring to it not as the baby, but as your sister, as your brother. And 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they crave ownership. So much that your daughter craves ownership of you right now. And so what you're going to be able to do is transition that ownership from your body to your sister needs your help right now. Your sister needs you to fill in the blank. Here's some jobs. Here are some things. She needs you to color a picture and read her the story or whatever the things are. It's going to give her some autonomy, but it's just going to be a hard, frustrating, tearful for you and for her separation over the next few weeks. Is Dad a good participant here? Is he a good helper?
Dad's a great helper.
Okay.
Dad is probably on the same page you're on. He's like, she's going to cry. It's going to be hard. Like, we just have to make her do it. And I just breaks my heart.
It does.
But Dad's also been really busy lately. He's finishing school. He's working full time. We're about to move. So
golly. So
that's been
the real thing that you've got to do, Leela, the real thing you've got to do is recognize the truth that you are also using this as a stress coping mechanism too. And if you can come up in this messy, crazy season, and I realize I'm on such thin ice, being just a dude telling a nursing mom, you know what you need to do. I get that, right? But your husband's busy. You got a 6-month-old who's not sleeping through the night. You got a 2.5-year-old. You're about to move. Transition. It does make everybody just exhale a little bit when you've got both kids that are quiet. Both of your babies, you've got huddled up on your, I can't even imagine the connection you can have with a child there. I hugged my daughter this morning. She just woke up a little bit early, and we just got some great snuggle time this morning. I can't imagine how much deeper that could be, right, than what you get to experience. But you've got to start developing and owning and getting some friends in your life that can push you and hold you accountable to getting some stress coping skills that don't involve your 2.5-year-old, that don't involve your 6-month-old. You've got to start coming up with some things for you in whatever limited, squishy time you've got that will bring you peace and that will bring you some restoration. Is that fair? I know that's so hard.
Yeah. It's just a totally different way than how I'd been thinking about it, but it's very valid, and that helps to see it that way.
Or maybe, oh gosh, I'm just thinking about the the breastfeeding cards and letters I'm going to get. Maybe
don't send them mean letters.
Maybe thinking about your daughter as she's not a Xanax, and so every time she comes to you, and you're just thinking, she's not my pacifier, she's not my Xanax. And this is going to be hard for a few weeks, and making sure you know what your steps are going to be. This is when I'm going to go take a walk. This is when I'm going to get some sleep. This is I'm going to go talk to somebody because I'm struggling. Whatever those things are. But I think your heart is so there, and your husband's right. You got an awesome partner. I'm smiling right now because I know this is going to be hard, but it's going to be so worth it. And I'll tell you this: if you can teach your daughter how to appropriately respond, if you can model for her body boundaries, if you can model for her when mommy gets tired and stressed, here's the healthy things I do, you are setting her up for a extraordinary legacy shifting life. And if you teach her that when things get bad, mommy will just hold you and I'll always take care of the discomfort, and whenever you get scared and fearful, mommy will solve those problems for you. That's a hard road to hoe. Now she's 2, right? Of course, mom's going to be there, right? And I'm not telling you, well, it sucks, kid. Go outside and go for a jog, right? No, she's 2.5, right? But beginning to hold those boundaries, hold that autonomy, you get your wellness behavior, you put your oxygen mask on first, and give her some ownership and autonomy. And now she's a big sister. And she's going to learn some new skills and new boundaries there. It's going to be extraordinary. So thank you so much for that call, Leela. You are awesome. Your husband's awesome. Your kids, it's going to be a blast. And I will be thinking about you during the next few weeks as y'all transition to where you're just breastfeeding one kid, which already sounds like a cartwheel box of monkeys and adventures.